So in just a few minutes, and by the time you're watching this, because by the time it's finished being recorded and posted, it will be April 12th, 2019. And what's significant about April 12th for me is that 3 years ago, I made a decision in my life that has changed everything for me, has changed everything about my life. 3 years ago, I decided to stop drinking. And the reason I decided to stop drinking, I actually was just watching right now. The Best in the World Blu-ray about CM Punk in the WWE, and him being straight edge, and him being a wrestler, and him loving punk rock music. And there was a lot of correlation between him and me. I'm not a wrestler. I'm a comic book creator, at least for a little while longer. I love punk rock music, and I was the complete and total opposite of him. I drank an 18-pack a night, smoked. I just didn't take care of myself, but I was under the delusion that I was doing well, and I was under the delusion that everything was okay. But it took watching this man fight for every scrap of dignity within an industry that doesn't care whether you're there or not, and will keep going no matter how big of a star you are. Once you walk away, it continues. So 3 years after the fact, his story and my story are very similar. Because a year after I quit drinking, I decided I was okay with the label of being straight edge. And because I was dealing with a lot of constant cravings to drink, to smoke, to just go back to that harmful lifestyle, I did what I needed to do to survive and get through. I started Xing my hands every Friday night as a symbol that I had earned the right to do that. And at the same time, the ritual act of Xing my hands activated something in my brain that I could look down and see them. And feel a sense of accomplishment and a sense of pride, regardless of if anybody else saw it or felt that about me. During these past 3 years, other than becoming straight edge, thought I was going to lose my home. But I fixed my mortgage so that what I was making at the time at a job that I didn't like would provide enough for me to maintain. Got rid of all my roommates, so there was no stress for me. I ended up quitting smoking after a few months of using a vape and an e-cig. Never went back. never took a drink of alcohol, never took a sip. Not one of those people who sit there and maybe sniff alcohol just to see what it smells like. I know what it smells like. I know what it tastes like. I know what that cigarette tastes like, and I know what it smells like. I don't need to be reminded of that. I don't need to sit in a meeting surrounded by a bunch of people who tell stories about the horrible things they did when they were drinking or using. That's all up here. I don't need to share that with anybody. I don't need to stand in front of a group of people and spill my guts out to feel some sort of a catharsis. And although I was raised Catholic, and right now we're in the midst of Lent, and you do things like give up stuff, and you sacrifice during that time frame, I have been sacrificing and changing and evolving for 3 years. And this past year, into year 40, was no different. I got sick at the beginning of last year. Figured out that, hey, I'm not as healthy as I thought I might have been, or I like to pretend I was, because I was lifting weights and I was kind of doing some cardio and I felt like I was eating healthy and I had stopped drinking soda, but I still wasn't where I needed to be. And so I talked to some people and I made another decision to be even better, to be even stronger, to be even smarter. And that was a year ago. And for those of you who saw the last video, you know what my intentions are. You know what my plan is. And you know why I'm pissed off. I had delusions of thinking that I could get my characters into Marvel Comics back when I was still in high school. I then thought I wanted to be at San Diego Comic-Con right when I was learning that it had nothing to do with comics anymore. So I decided to go my own route, self-publish, go into debt, break myself down as a person, and lose a lot of dignity at the same time. While some people were patting me on the back, other people were saying whatever they wanted. You don't have name recognition. You don't bring in people. Well, just like CM Punk, I wasn't given that opportunity. I fought for it. I scraped for it. And I knocked down a lot of freaking doors, especially when I started doing all ages stuff, because people were like, there's no way he can pull this off. Sure, he loves his dogs, but And I did it. I proved I could do it. And I have some people now saying, I totally get where you're coming from. I get the frustration. I even get the anger. I have other people saying, I've been working in this industry even longer than you have, and it's never handed me anything. I've worked for everything I've gotten from the industry. Like I haven't. I don't have anything in this industry other than what I've created. Universes, characters, stories. Dedication and passion built from love that I did repeatedly over and over and over again for 13 years. But right now, we're concentrating on 3 years, the 3 years of evolution of my life that have culminated to this moment. And although I'm an individual who does not do well with change, I understand that I don't do well with change. But for the past 3 years, I have changed. And most who've known me would say I changed for the better, but along that path, I have lost. sacrificed relationships, friendships. Why? Because those were people who were there while I was drinking, while I was not who I am now. And one of those people who I thought was my best friend told me that during that time frame, she thought that my posts were arrogant. The things I was saying were cocky and brash. Well, here's a little known fact that I've said to a few people. Years ago when I was in college, one of my instructors called me arrogant. And this was 2001, 2002. It was just like, I'm not arrogant, I'm confident. And he asked me, what's the difference? And I said, arrogance is thinking you're better. Confidence is knowing you are better. So even back then, before I went down that dark path of drinking, before I even created my first comic book, I knew I was better and I knew I could achieve. I graduated maybe by the skin of my teeth, and under some false pretenses was made to redo a class or two here or there. I was treated as if it was still high school when it was college, and I was paying to go there, and was expected to smile every day and be cheery and happy. Well, even though I've lightened up a whole hell of a lot since I was a kid, that's not who I am. I will tell you how I feel. If I'm having a great day, that's awesome. People like that. But if I'm having a crappy day, if I'm having a shitty day, people don't want to hear that. People only want you to tell them what they want to hear. And that's why that friendship had to end, because that person held on to all that negativity and darkness that they had before they got sober and they got clean. But at the same time, I was arrogant. And that's not the case at all. I'm not arrogant. I'm confident. I know I'm better. And that's not something that is going to go away anytime soon. Whether it's comic books, whether it's art in general, whether it's public speaking, or just doing my job, I am better. And I always will be. And if me feeling that way is somehow offensive, then I'm sorry you feel that way. But the worst thing you can do and the worst thing you can say to me is good luck. Because like CM Punk and a lot of other people who go out and achieve and fight and scrape and make their situations happen, I say this, don't wish me luck. Luck is for losers. Wish me a chance. Wish me an opportunity. Because that is tangible and real. Just like me. Luck. I don't believe in luck. But I do believe in me.